So this podcast is brought to you by TELUS Story Hive. Now, since 2013, they have funded productions and supported emerging filmmakers with mentorship and guidance from the National Screen Institute and brought hundreds of films to life from creators in Western Canada. And I happen to know, Andrea, that you have some ideas that could fit into this whole project.
I have so many ideas. Thank you for asking, Lisa. So, oh my God, there's so many documentary ideas, but I would really love. So my husband competes in this thing called Geek Bowl, which is this like massive trivia tournament. It's exactly what it sounds like in the name. There's no disguising it. And this past year they were in Las Vegas. Next year it's going to Chicago. It's like 800 people or something, like tons of teams competing for a $1,000 prize, or maybe it's even more money. I don't even know. I would find out by making this documentary.
Well, amazing. And if you have a documentary pitch even close to as good as Andrea's, why not pitch it? Until May 7th, Story Hive is accepting applications for their second documentary edition. Story Hive is looking for documentary pitches that center the unique stories of your community. So gather a team and apply now for a chance at a $50,000 production grant, plus mentorship and career training at storyhive.com.
One of the things that we love so much as part of Pop This is that all applying teams must have at least one female key creative. We really want to believe, and we really believe and we support women filmmakers, documentarians. It's so great to see this as part of the eligibility requirements. You can find out every eligibility requirement on storyhive.com. Make note, though, applications close at 12 p.m. PST on May 7th.
And you should know that we have a lot of confidence in you, Pop This listeners, so get out there and make a film.
You're listening to Pop This, the podcast where two women talk about everything pop culture. Here are your hosts, Lisa Christiansen and Andrea Warner.
I know this podcast will come out at another date.
Yes, not.
We pre-tape. This is not live.
Can you imagine? People are like, they're in the library right now.
Yeah, they're still there. But I just have to say, and I know it'll be probably past, but I'm really bored of people hating Coachella. Like, I know it's gone through many phases of development, but I do think we get to see a lot of very interesting artists. If you watch the live feed, I haven't been. I know people who have been. I recognize that there are issues maybe with outfits. I don't really care about that. I do know that one of the most exciting things I'm looking forward to on Netflix this year is the Beyonce documentary about her Coachella performance.
Yeah.
And for that reason alone, I feel like Coachella has something to offer us and can offer us, and I'm getting bored.
So I think I understand that boredom of just like people just want to sort of talk about how it's like people who want to talk about how they're not watching Game of Thrones. You know, I get it. Fine. Coachella, I like to hear a lot of criticism of it because the owners donate a significant amount of money to anti-queer organizations, and so
different
that's
conversation. But I agree with
though?
that.
Yeah.
Well, no, I mean no. If you want to criticize that, I understand. I'm talking about the criticism I've heard about.
Yeah, you're saying like what Coachella, what it gives us, but what does it take away from those of us who are queer and are having to battle?
But those aren't the things people are complaining about.
That's the thing. I want them to complain about that.
Yes, I would respect a conversation like that.
Fair.
Yeah,
and that, but not
rather
to
than
say
complaining about Daisy
not
Crowns.
to say, oh, there's which one?
Daisy crowns, like just like the way.
Yeah, or
they want to complain about like women wearing flower crowns.
Yeah,
and stuff.
or women who are Instagram influencers. Sorry, that's a new job. Like I didn't see it coming.
Yeah,
nobody did. But somebody found a way to make that a job.
Yeah.
And sure, they're at Coachella, but there are all kinds of weird jobs.
Yeah, I'm here for all of the criticism levied at how Coachella really shouldn't exist, frankly, like at all. I do love the Beychella performance last year.
Yes.
And it's
I really
hard to separate
enjoyed
those
watching
things.
Janelle Monáe's performance and Lizzo's this year too.
And I'm so curious about artists that, I mean, but I don't also want to hold like queer artists to like a higher standard of like not getting their paycheck because like they deserve to get paid. I'm so disappointed that something that pretends to be this like real sort of like, massive influencer of modern culture and this like culture curation thing is anti-queer people. Like it's how. Yeah. It's so like I don't know how it keeps happening. Like, and I don't know how they stay in power. Although at the same time, Coachella.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Like honestly, like how they like how
they and I'm like, who are they?
They.
It's big they.
The Coachella people. Like I don't know how they continue to sort of like make a case for themselves. But I also don't know how like Target continues to be a business when they are also.
Have they been asked about that? Has Janelle been asked? And what did she say?
Well, but the thing is, like, I don't want to ask her because
no, I'm just curious.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
I don't want to ask her. Like, I want to ask like other like artists. Like, I want to ask like how. Like people who are buying these like VIP passes, like spending thousands and thousands of dollars. Like I understand ultimately it is like for the most part a lot of very rich white people and tech people, like people who are already sort of like killing San Francisco and stuff like that are like driving to the village, like the desert and are not terribly interested in any kind of thing in that moment other than like
I thought they were going
a
to
3-day
Burning
drug.
Man. Aren't they on the same weekend?
No, Burning Man's a different weekend and they have their own set of interesting. I mean, as far as I know, there's no anti-queer conglomerate behind them. It's pretty, I mean, it's...
I don't know.
Yeah.
Who's to say?
Honestly, is there not like a shadowy anti-queer, like capitalist conglomerate behind everything nowadays?
Yes.
There we go.
We're talking about Killing Eve, and I'm so excited because people have been telling me to watch the show for a long time. I've wanted to watch the show for a long time. I love Sandra Oh so much.
So why did you wait so long?
Well, you know about my whole delayed gratification where sometimes I put things off until I have time and space to properly appreciate them.
Have you been busy?
I have been busy, thank you, yes. Just for a little bit. So, and so then finally I got like a little break in my schedule like about 3 weeks ago. And I was like, okay, now's the time. Like now I can watch it. Plus I knew season 2 was coming. I knew we wanted to do an episode. I mean, we're already sort of a little bit late because this will come out after season 2. We're only going to talk about season 1.
Yes.
Of Killing Eve.
Yes.
But I'm so excited.
Yes.
I'm so excited to talk about it with both of you.
I'm excited too.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
So why are we doing this?
Should we introduce our guest?
Oh yeah, that's probably more polite.
I mean, I don't know how you were just
Thanks.
gonna just
No.
You're just I'm just gonna
go and all of a sudden say, by the way, can I read this part on this piece of paper that says guest bio?
I'm very rude. That's fine. That's
Because you never saw Gone with the Wind, but I understand why.
It's what I bring to the table.
Okay.
It's what I bring to the
I
table.
get it.
But we hadn't read the Why Are We Doing This? That's all. I was just starting there, and then I was going to go into guest bio. That's all.
Okay.
I was just going in order.
All right.
But you read the Why Are We Doing This, and then I'll read the guest bio.
Okay. Killing Eve is one of the best television shows of 2018, starring our beloved... Oh.
She is our beloved.
She is, yeah. No, co-signed. Yes.
Like, she's our
Yes.
beloved Sandra Oh.
It sounds
We
a
love
little
her.
bit creepy.
She
is our beloved.
I don't know if you know that I am full creep when it comes to Sandra Oh.
Well, I am very fond of her as well, but I didn't know I'd be reading our beloved like it's a collective directive from Pop This.
I speak on behalf of Pop This.
Okay, well, let me try that again so I can throw in some real commitment to that. Killing Eve is one of the best television shows of 2018, starring our beloved Sandra Oh, who won a Golden Globe for her amazing performance. Also, Jodie Comer is fantastic. Wow, she's not our beloved anything there.
Look, she's great.
She was in Dr. Foster.
I know, and
we like Dr. Foster.
I did like Dr. Foster season 1, season 2 not so good.
Yeah, no, me either. But Jodie Comer gets fantastic. And we love dark, twisted, funny thrillers, strong female characters, queer characters, and a woman of color as the titular lead role.
It's true. All those things are true. Mm-hmm. All those things are true.
Yes.
So now our guest bio. So patiently waiting. Michelle Osgood writes queer, feminist, romance from her tiny apartment in Vancouver, BC. She's the author of The Better to Kiss You with Huntsman and Moon Illusion. 3 books.
3 books. Thank you.
And you're working on a 4th right now?
I am working on the 4th right now.
Amazing.
Are we taking you away from that? Would you be doing that right now?
I mean, probably I'd be sitting on my couch, like, watching Netflix, feeling really guilty that I wasn't doing that right
so
now.
This feels a bit productive.
It does.
Good.
It does. Today I was like, oh, it's so nice. I'm, like, working.
Yay.
Working, writing. I can
Yeah.
feel good about this.
And like full disclosure, we're friends. We've known each other for a while. So, just in case anyone's like,
And full disclosure on the podcast, I pretend that everyone's my friend.
I love it.
I
You've
know.
got a real warmth right away.
Warmth.
Yeah.
Do you feel the
I
warmth?
would
Excellent.
say
Good.
we're friends.
Yeah.
I would say my friend Lisa.
Wow.
Sorry if that was, like, too soon.
No, I was really chuffed. I didn't know how long that would take. So thank you. Straight to the heart right here.
Friend of Andrea's.
Wow, okay.
I know. It's just short tears first.
Yeah.
Background?
That's we're just Michelle, would you like to read background?
Oh, wow.
This is something we've never done
dang.
before.
We've never folded in.
We've
the guest.
never, yeah.
Great. No pressure. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Killing Eve is based on Luke Jennings' Codename Vivanelle novella series and developed for television by Phoebe Waller-Bridge. We are only talking about the first season on this episode. BBC America renewed Killing Eve for a second season, which premiered on April 7th, 2019. It's also been renewed for a third season.
I'm so excited about a 3rd season.
Why did you not put beloved Phoebe Waller-Bridge? I definitely feel like she's beloved.
I understand, but it's because I use a strong editorial voice, and I haven't actually watched Fleabag yet, but I know that I'm supposed to. And I'm sorry. I know.
Right.
I've let you down, Lisa, but I wrote the outline, so...
It's all right. I just feel like anyone listening to it now, if Phoebe or Jody tune in,
When they listen to the podcast.
Yeah.
Oh my God, can you imagine them listening as a trio?
right? And Sandra's going to be all, well, they obviously love me best.
It's true.
She's right.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
And-
It's Sandra. Sorry.
Maybe we get like a nice personalized thank you note.
Oh my God,
From
can you
Sandra?
imagine? What a dream
Wow.
that would be. Yeah. I just,
Well, they're also going to think it's because it's like hometown and we're
Yeah,
all Canadians
for sure.
and
for sure.
You're saying
and
we're
all
biased?
that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Just
Yeah.
a little.
Yeah, a little bit of bias. But
touch.
after her fantastic turn on Saturday Night Live, which was so much fun, did either of you watch it?
I did watch it, and it's the first time I've watched SNL for a long time. I sort of gave up this year, but I did watch it for her because, again, beloved.
Yes.
And I thought she's great.
But
She's so game for everything.
the thing that I wondered if people who don't know Canadians, I'm going to presume most of the people listening to this podcast are Canadian, but there might be some people
I
who
think
aren't.
there's a lot aren't, but
There
that's
aren't,
fine.
but she did the most Canadian thing that we all do, and it's sometimes unconscious. We cannot help if we're talking to other people to throw in, she's Canadian, you know. He's Canadian, you know. It's a thing we do. We cannot help it, no matter what. I'm sure I've already said to people, Sandra is Canadian, you know, even though everyone knows that. But
Because she's beloved.
it's
Yeah.
yeah.
Because Canadians are beloved. We just love each other.
At the end of the Saturday Night Live episode where they're all standing with the crew and the band and everything, and she said, oh my God, thank you so much. This has been the best experience of my life. Thank you so much to Lorne Michaels. He's Canadian, you know.
I love it. Yeah. I mean, it's true.
It's true,
true.
but I just thought, Sandra,
I know.
that's
it's
how
great.
we know.
That's definitely how
That's
we know.
how we know.
One of the many tells.
Definitely, yeah. So, Killing Eve. Eve Pilastri is a desk-bound MI5 officer who begins to track down talented psychopath assassin Villanelle, while both women become obsessed with each other. I love this show so much. Can you please both tell me? So I think I'm the one who's watched it most recently for the first time. So I'm really deep in my feelings about it. Can you both tell me about the first time you watched it?
Ooh.
Like, what was our initial...
Yeah, what were your impressions? And did you love it immediately?
Yeah, I think I loved it the second, like that first scene, with Eve, where we see her in bed and then she's shrieking in bed and we're just like, holy God, like what has happened? And then it's just this hilarious comedic moment.
Yeah.
And you're just like, wow, Sandra Oh,
Yeah.
hi.
So funny.
Yeah, and I think the colors really stuck out to me.
The
when I was
gray
watching
tone.
It's so colorful, I find.
Oh.
Just throughout the show. I just find that it's sort of soft colors, but it's like we get a lot of color.
Oh.
I feel it's gray when it's Sandra Oh, and then
Yes,
Villanelle
yes,
brings
yes.
the color with her.
Yes.
Yeah.
Those giant color pops with her, and so she's like bringing this life to Sandra Oh, as her existence has been a little bit dull.
Well, we see it a bit
now.
in Eve's home too, as well. I think.
Mm-hmm. But she's got
But
like
she's
color
definitely
colors
wearing
and
those
stuff.
popsicle dresses, those big
Yeah,
pink
yeah,
things.
absolutely.
Whereas, honestly, I will say one thing that I was really hoping for in the show, and it was not successful, and I'm hoping in season 2 that Sandra gets rid of that gray anorak. That jacket, I recognize that this is a show that is so exquisite down to every single detail, which is why I really loved it, amongst the many other reasons. But I just thought the wardrobe that she got, and I mean, it was so bad that poor old Villanelle had to send her clothes.
I mean, it's such a beautiful wooing.
It is.
It's so perfect.
Yeah, and it also was just like, and again, like I said, like right from the beginning, we were getting a sense that this is a woman that is just so desperate to feel something in her life. Like, you know, she is bursting of the seams, but she is still in the worst shoe wear and clothing that we have seen.
No, I mean, she's a desk job spy.
I know.
She's got to blend in, and
it all makes sense.
Yeah.
But still, I could feel Villanelle's sadness. Like, please, I am going to buy you some new clothes, and it's going to make a difference.
Well, and I'm going to make you over in my image, I think is like
she was ready.
Yeah.
Well, but also interestingly, when we see her pick up the tourist in Paris,
Yes.
She picks her up specifically because she's got the same kind of like frumpy mom
Yeah.
businesswoman look. And I loved that. I loved Villanelle
okay.
looking at like a middle-aged woman in dowdy clothing and being like, you are attractive.
Because
I want
she's in
to
love
take
with
back
Eve,
home to me. Yeah, but
too,
she's
but-
in love with Eve
Yeah.
who looks like this.
Yeah, exactly,
And like,
yes.
I'm a queer woman. I'm attracted to older middle-aged women, often in dowdy clothes.
Yeah.
I
Mm,
never
yeah.
get to see that reflected back at me on screen.
Yeah, and I
Ever.
think it almost never
Interesting.
happens. Like,
No.
honestly, like it's very rarely, and
And
we don't
that
really.
was so powerful for me.
Yeah, and we don't really see middle-aged women sexualized ever.
No, and let alone for the very things we're told are like unattractive about them, like their shapeless clothing and their like mom scarf.
Well, I didn't mean to. I just meant to suggest that we are also. This is a woman that's very unhappy.
Yes, no, absolutely.
And this is not like she's like her home, like everything down to even the way her apartment is compared to like Villanelle's. Like this is a study in huge contrasts in lifestyles, and obviously Villanelle makes a lot more money for killing people than you do at MI5. I mean, it's just
She seems to have quite a stack of cash.
quite a stack of cash, and she just really, and I
a
just
fridge full of bubbly.
And I guess here's my initial thing about watching it is I love spy movies. I could watch Born whatevers, just add a word. Identity, Born, Shoes, Born, Free, any Born. I will watch it. I just love spy movies. I love the whole secretness of it. I'll watch all the Mission Impossibles. And I was saying to Andrea, I love when it just says across the screen, Paris, Berlin. Like, I know we're in a whole other world, this stealth, secret world. And so I was already right there for it. And I love the fact that it was women, because we just don't see that. We just don't.
Yeah.
I mean, even when I mentioned was male, like in all of these sorts of spy movies. So that was very exciting. And I loved I just loved whoever was working on the costumes and the sets, and I appreciated how much attention went into the visual of this storytelling.
And Fiona Shaw, like in terms of
my
like,
God.
Yeah.
and even like she's above.
Talk about being
middle-aged,
attractive
like,
and
she is,
sexy.
right?
I mean,
right? Yeah.
There is a lot of stuff happening on so many different levels throughout this whole show. And it wasn't until I was writing this outline that I realized how heavily women are involved in the key creative roles in this this television world. So, and I think that that's one of the ways we see them inserting like these sort of twists to our usual experience, which is like depicting women of different ages and different styles as sort of sexual objects, and not just objects, but like sexual beings. Yeah, because it's not, no one's really objectified. It's just like sexual beings who like have, this sort of, Villanelle is this access point for a lot, like particularly the random middle-aged tourists that she seduces. Like she's just this like young, sleek, blonde woman who sort of steals away this woman from her seemingly very dull, dowdy sort of briefcase husband. Because I just think of men as briefcase husbands. And, she just sort of like gets her into her room, and she's there, she's not there. It's one thing that she does for herself. She's not a mark. She's not a, someone she has to murder. She's not someone she needs anything from other than to satisfy her sexual obsession with older women. And I
don't know if that's entirely. I mean, she's in love with Eve. I don't know if she's
But the woman that she originally like sparks all of it is an older middle-aged woman because it was her teacher.
Okay.
She's like the original person that she was obsessed with, and then
her root.
Her root.
Okay. Yeah.
So, like she's got a pattern. At this point,
A type, if you will.
Yes, a type, if you will.
Yeah, but we're also. I mean, she's a very, very damaged, sad, tragic figure. I mean, there's so much going on in this character that is so heartbreaking.
Well, she's been through some stuff, it seems.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have, even though I've just recently watched it, I don't have the clearest picture of what her childhood was like, other than that she ends up in a prison in Russia. Yeah. Which does not sound like a pleasant place to spend time.
Generally, those kinds of Russian girls become models, don't they?
I'm not sure.
The prison.
But her childhood wasn't good. Her father was a drunk, I think.
Did you read the books?
No, I didn't read the books, but I recently rewatched it. And her mom left or died or something. So Anna, her teacher, said that she gave her like lots of extra attention because when Villanelle came to the school, she was supposed to be like, violent behavior and outbursts and stuff.
But she had a lover too. That she murders.
She murders Anna's husband. Anna's her lover.
Anna's
the
her
older
lover,
woman.
The older woman, the teacher.
No, but then the other psychopathic spy like her. The two of them. She meets him in the car.
Nadia.
Nadia.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and they were together as well. Yeah,
they were together, and then she just drives her over in that car.
Yeah, she survived though.
I know, but I feel like sometimes when I think about this show, I've kind of like disregarded the body count.
Yeah, because she's so sweet and innocent and cutesy with her flouncy pink dress.
And because we're in this realm where we're just assumed
eyes.
that these men that die deserve to die and need to die.
Like,
Which they
arguably,
are.
Yeah, a lot of them are positioned as sort of it being acceptable. I think also it's so funny. And that is one of the things that really minimizes the body count on a lot of levels because it's... and I didn't know how funny it would be. And that was another reason I had sort of like put it off because I thought it was going to be like really intense, like Hannibal or something. And whereas Hannibal has almost no sense of humor most of the time, this is like truly laugh out loud funny on occasion. Mm-hmm. It's got lots of darkness too, but I was so grateful for all of the times that it let me just like feel something other than like high tension.
The thing that I think I really took away too was just that there were lots of moments where it just took my breath away and I didn't know what was going to happen. And I think specifically when they see each other on the road after they've chased that guy,
Frank.
the informant, the double agent or whatever. Frank, and she sees her walking up that hill, and then they're both standing just looking at each other. And I didn't know, like, you don't know what is going to happen.
Yeah, because we've never seen this before.
No,
I love it.
Yeah, I know. And it was amazing. And I think we've, like, also, too, watching it as women, you're just seeing these two brilliant women that have constantly been sidetracked and you're not smart enough or we don't really need you. and they are smarter than everybody else in this whole thing. And so I love that feeling that they recognize that in each other, that they've met each other's match.
Yeah.
Soulmate television gets a little boring sometimes when it's when we don't see the soulmates earn each other. And this actually is so
is
refreshing.
it a spy show or is it a romance?
It's both.
Yes.
But that's the thing. We see why they spark towards each other.
Yes.
We understand that from the beginning. She's the only one, Eve is the only one smart enough to identify this is a female serial killer, female assassin. Villanelle understands rather quickly and also identifies that it's the beautiful woman with the hair, the beautiful hair. It's just the fact that they know that they can sort of just match each other on an intellectual level, on a sort of physical level, on I don't want to skip ahead all the way to the end yet, but that the last episode is amazing.
It's a lot.
It's just phenomenal. I think it might be one of the best sort of directed scenes in that moment.
I would defy anyone to know what was going to happen at any time, too, because it was she's also one of those people that can just kill people so quickly without that long spy speech that they usually do.
Yeah, I like that we were spared a lot of spy speeches.
Yeah, and she was just like that guy.
She's so efficient.
Yeah, she's efficient.
God, I love a competent woman.
Yeah,
right?
I know, exactly.
There's so many competent women on this show, and it
yes.
just watching Carolyn and Eve and what's the assistant's name? Elena.
Yeah.
Get stuff done. Even Vivanelle, it's bad stuff, but it's oh man, look at you just accomplishing that.
Yeah, and shout out to Elena, who's also on The Good Place and is so great. I really love that actor, and she doesn't get quite enough to do in Killing Eve season 1. And I think she's gonna be a star.
Yeah, I want to see more of her and Nico in season 2.
Yeah,
not together, but
she's not in season 2. I'm sorry.
What? Really?
Yeah, she's gone.
Oh,
well.
I'm so sorry.
Well, she didn't die, did she? Or could she
come
come back
for
for
season
3 then if there's a big uproar?
I don't know what's happening with season 3, but she's not in season 2. I'm sorry.
That's too bad.
I know, it sucks.
Yeah.
But she's great, and so I'm just really grateful that she, has this sort of extra in the same way that oh my God, what's her name is so great in The Good Place and then is also in Barry. Darcy. Darcy Wilder?
Yes.
No, Darcy.
No, I know who you mean.
But anyway, whatever her last name is.
Yes.
She plays Janet on The Good Place, and she's also in Barry. Anyways,
I might watch Barry now.
She's only in it a little bit, but Barry's great, actually. Yeah.
But there was also, though, and I don't know
also assassin related, just FYI.
Question.
Yes.
There was something I was thinking, and I wasn't sure if I was sure on my reading of this. But I always got the sense from Villanelle that she was trying to figure out a way to have a normal life. She probably never is going to be able to. This is going to be elusive to her because she's a psychopath.
Yep.
Mostly.
That's some hard stuff.
But at the same time, she seems to have a sense, and I think that's what we also learned from the woman she's first in love with, that there was this kind of promise of a domestic life, some kind of a situation that you are normal in, that you are in. And there was seemed to be this tension of Sandra Oh's Eve's life being somewhat tempting to Villanelle to see. Yet Eve is doing everything she can to run away from this boring day-to-day existence with her husband.
Who I think she still likes her husband. I don't think she doesn't dislike him.
She doesn't,
but she
is
a
boring
bored.
existence.
It's not what
she is bored.
She's bored, and he's. He's
fine. He's great. There's nothing wrong with him.
There's nothing wrong with him. And
right? We've all been there.
And no, exactly. And his frustrations seemed fair. You're not really being honest with me. What's going on? I would just like to know.
You might be sort of getting us set up to be murdered.
Yeah. An assassin broke into our house. That's reasonable.
Yep. Yeah, it is reasonable.
That's a fair line to draw.
Yeah. And then when Villanelle breaks into her house the first time, that odd, and she gets her the shepherd's pie. And
Nico.
it was,
I know.
yeah, and I felt sad, and I felt like that there was this weird, and then I wondered, was that written to be sort of a female tension?
Like a female tension in what like about wanting the domestic life, but also wanting something that's like bigger and more
and that
wilder
constant
and sort of
tension,
violent than that.
which men don't struggle with in movies ever. If they do, I've not seen it.
Yeah, we rarely see that struggle. The classic twist on can a woman have it all?
Yeah, no, literally, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm asking, because it really had that feel to me. They were both kind of looking almost at each other as being representations of this life, which shouldn't have to be two-sided like that. So drastically, you can either have this.
Well, I mean, I sort of hope if you're an assassin, you're not bringing your work home. But yeah, I hear you.
Yeah. I mean,
Like, but can she ever just like have like some sort of like, could her and Eve in perhaps Villanelle's
Secret fan fiction
secret
diary.
fan fiction diary, could her and Eve be like assassins and spouses? Who,
like a Mr. and Mrs. Smith, Brad Pitt, Angelina Jolie thing.
Yes. Like, is that like somehow possible for her? Like, I can see that being an element of like a question that she's asking herself. Because like when they lie on the bed together, at the end, it's very tender. You don't know exactly what's going to happen. You're like, do I want, like, even though this woman murdered your best friend on a dance floor.
Yeah.
It was very.
That's a lot to overcome.
That was
it's
a hard step.
Yeah.
To get past.
Yeah.
In the starting of any kind of romance, just a casual murder of my best friend, and yet they've done such a good job with those characters that you're like, yeah, all right, kiss,
Yeah.
and I wouldn't be mad at that.
Well, and it's sort of queer in a way. Maybe my lens is this on everything for this show.
Sure.
But just in that thing where, yeah, sometimes you're dating your, friend's exes.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
wow, that's
sometimes there is a lot of, bodies between you and someone else.
There's some
and
figurative bodies between
Yeah,
us.
and
Okay.
despite all of the reasons that you shouldn't be together and
Yeah.
this person has maybe very deeply hurt people around you,
Yeah.
if the connection is so strong,
Yeah.
that what do you do about that? And especially if you haven't felt it anywhere else or with anyone else, and suddenly there's this person who comes like a wrecking ball into your life.
Yeah.
I feel that.
Whenever I
Yeah.
see these things in movies, though, I'm always imagining the dinner party in 3 years where they're like, how'd you guys meet?
Funny story.
Funny. Oh, my God. Well, okay. Back in... I was sure it was her. I was sure. And then she's all, I knew you knew it was me. I knew.
That first glance in the ladies.
Yeah.
That
Oh, and I told you take the hair down?
Yeah. Oh.
Was I right? Was I... Everyone at the table, was I right?
she's still making her take her hair down performatively for people. She just always has that like librarian fantasy.
Well, and that's the to me the fun of this show is that tension between this domestic life that's over there, even that really, like, the way Villanelle is always trying to drag that fixer guy into her life, having a birthday party for him,
Yeah.
and she making him meals. And then when there's a big showdown, she goes to his actual house, and you can see how painful this is for her, that he has this child and a wife and this world that, of people that care about you.
that she has no access to.
That she has no access to. And it was, to me, that was like a really heartbreaking time on the show.
Yeah. I think that they are doing a ton of stuff, and I feel like it's
So many things.
so many things. Like, it's just, and I don't know that I've seen a show handle all of the different elements that well, that successfully, and that cleanly over 8 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
You know?
and even like Constantine's daughter, like that's a little queer kid.
Yeah.
Oh,
for sure.
yeah.
Every time she's on screen, like I can't focus
Yeah.
on anything else. I'm just look at her.
Yeah.
Look, she's just and like that's not addressed. She's just doing her thing. And
Yeah.
like what? But holy crap.
Yeah,
That
that
is-
was something.
That is like a butch presenting child. And
so great.
So great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just such a small minor thing that's never mentioned.
No, but everything is very, like, the lens of this show, everything is normalized.
Yeah.
Which is...
It's beautiful.
So nice. It is so nice to see.
Oh, yeah. No, I agree.
Yeah.
But also, and it has that weird tension of that relax, you're frightened, relax, you're frightened, all of the time.
Yeah.
Like, there is never, like, you're always slightly, that sense of foreboding is always with you in this.
Mm-hmm.
And that sometimes, I think if anyone is going to watch it based on our recommendation, just be ready for a super roller coaster.
Yeah.
Like, and maybe even get in your dreams at night, because it's intense.
Yeah.
I found it to be like a really, like, even like there's the visual stuff of just the murders and all of those things, but then there are all those other questions, and the tensions, and that's why I thought it was so beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, it's like there, and I think because I do take pleasure, as we have mentioned on the podcast before, I do like a real dark reading on some things. Like, that's why I like Heather's so much, is that it's just so twisted.
How do you feel about Heather's?
I don't know anything about it.
Okay.
Cannot speak.
Michelle's too young.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's.
Well, they made it into a musical. You can go.
Don't
I probably
skip the
won't.
musical. The musical's
okay,
terrible.
We did.
I'm probably just-
That's
The
right.
musical's
gonna-
terrible.
Yeah.
The show, though, the movie, I stand by the movie.
Okay.
Great stuff.
And I did not.
Yeah.
So that is our schism.
I will maintain knowing nothing about
Okay,
Heather's.
there we go.
Forever and ever. But I think it's one of the reasons that I loved the humor of Killing Eve so much, in addition to all of the other complicated things, is because it lets us go into a lot of places. Like, I was not watching it as much through my fingers as I might normally watch another sort of spy psycho killer thing as much.
I think it's a show that you can feel safe watching, even though you're at the edge of your seat and everything's horrible, because I don't know, they're not going to, like, twist the knife where it's really awful and it's been twisted 1,000 times.
Especially, well, at the end, we weren't sure what was going to happen, but then luckily I watched it so I could see the previews.
Yeah. No gays were killed, right? Like, Well,
I mean,
oh,
maybe.
yeah.
I know.
Well, and Bill died.
Yeah.
And I love it.
Speaking of another relationship that, like, again, completely, like, a completely queer relationship that is completely normalized and casually talked about. Like, like I like the fact that we are shown that the hetero relationship is the dysfunctional relationship.
Totally.
It's pretty exciting.
Yeah, and Bill giving his, like, impassioned defense of, like, kink. I was completely blown away. I was like, what am I watching? Is this happening, like, for real life? So he instantly became my favorite character, and then in the same episode dies. So I was like, well,
I was so sad that he died. You can't get attached to people on this show.
No, you cannot.
And Bill dying was I was like, no, they're not gonna. No, no.
But her moving like a shark through that crowd.
Yeah.
Oh,
that was a
Was
very
you
intense
from
sequence.
Love Actually?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Or Four Weddings and a Funeral.
Four Weddings and Funeral, I meant. Yes, I
Yes,
did.
sorry,
I
not
did.
Love Actually.
I do not
Yeah,
remember
yeah.
him from Love
Yeah.
Actually.
No, it's
Yeah,
Four Weddings and
okay.
a Funeral, I'm pretty sure.
Sorry, yeah, no, you're right. That's what I was.
Yeah.
Sorry. Hugh Grant, I get confused.
I know. I mean, whatever. Hugh Grant. Yeah, he's in one of those Hugh Grant films.
Yeah.
That's the best you can say. What is your, like, favorite reading? So, I mean, because we have seen so often shows that want to tackle queerness can go deeply, deeply wrong, and they can kill off the gay character. Yeah. They can do so many exploitative things. Yeah, they can do so many things wrong. And this article in The Verge that I was reading that I shared with you guys, I don't know if you had a chance to read it, but it talks about how it could have gone so wrong and then it didn't, and how exciting that was for this author. So what was your takeaway from it?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't feel disappointed really about the queerness in Killing Eve at all. I wish that they would, like, say the words, because so far, like, we've seen Vivenelle have sex with men, and we've seen her have sex with women, and we've seen her have sex with men and women at the same time, but no one's ever said, yeah, she's bisexual.
Yeah.
Or, yeah, she's queer. And I'm okay with that if this turns into, like, a coming out story of Eve, because I understand how hard it is to recognize that you're queer later in your life and how much of a struggle that is. And I think that that's sort of I hope that's what we're seeing here. And so if that's the case and we sort of season 2, season 3 kind of explores it with like, hey, like, let's actually like label the thing that we're doing instead of just like, it's so titillating.
Yeah,
When they lie on the bed together and brush each other's hair back, like, what? What is that?
Yeah.
Well, it's pretty gay.
Yeah.
Just from where I'm
I'd
sitting.
be surprised if someone didn't pick up on that earlier, though.
Yeah, but it's
but
important
I know what
to
you're saying.
say
Yeah,
it.
and
yeah,
like
no.
name it and
I
stuff.
know.
Yeah, and it
Yeah.
doesn't.
Lie on each other's bed and brush each other's
Or
hair.
even if just
The
like a
sleepover.
little pride flag somewhere, you know, like some recognition of queerness as opposed to this.
Well, I don't
just-
think Villanella has to come to terms with anything like that at all for herself. But
No.
Eve, it's
Yeah.
definitely, we're watching something, a huge transformation in Eve with her confidence coming out of being able to respect how smart she is and to be able to understand that she's in, I feel like I'm doing a song lyric now, she's in the middle of something she doesn't quite understand.
But I still kind of want to hear Vivianelle say
No,
it, or
I
for
do.
someone to say
Yeah,
it on
yeah.
her, even for someone to
Yeah.
be like, yes, the lesbian serial killer, or you know,
Mm-hmm.
whatever, bisexual, whichever you want to go with. But it just feels.
But so far we haven't had a sense that her sex with men was for pleasure, though. That was...
well, no, but she was because she takes the neighbor
the
boy.
couple, and the,
Oh,
and the couple, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, the one that
So-
dies.
Yeah.
It just feels
Yeah.
like for a
Right,
show that is
that's fair,
super,
yeah.
super, super queer, no
Yeah.
one's saying it.
Yeah.
And I also think like,
And I'm
Is that the book, though? I mean,
I haven't read the
read
book.
these
I haven't
books.
read
I
the
wonder
books.
what
I've read the
what
books, yeah. But I also think like there's, you know, I've seen a lot of people talk about sort of, there was for a long time, like, you know, if someone was a serial killer or a psychopath, they you know, and they got read as queer, there was like for so long you were that was part of your like psychopathy was your queerness, and then therefore like that's also not a great trope and stereotype to sort of like be doubling down on. So I it's but I think that I feel like, I mean, and I say this as a straight person, it felt like it was not exploitative to me, like in terms of sort of like, or trying to like further creating damaging stereotypes or contributing to damaging stereotypes. It felt like it was very much a show that wants to normalize all different kinds of sexual identities and sexual relationships, and non-sexual relationships too, because Bill and his wife have this child together, but I don't know the extent to their physical intimacy or having a romance that does not have physical intimacy, you know, like anyway, there's so many interesting things that they're doing.
Yeah, and I think you're right, and like I'm not disappointed that it's not there.
Yeah.
Because I think they're doing a lot of things well, very, very well with regard to queerness. And so I just hope it's like we're building to that. Like I hope that there's going to be payoff for me, like respecting this is how you're going to do it. And like, that's cool. I'm along for the ride. But, you know, we've been here before. And then everyone ends up, you know, partnered off with opposite sex at the end. And
Yeah, and
We're dead.
And that was a weird part of college for me. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. We all experiment
Yeah,
during
yeah,
our-
exactly. But for you in writing your romance, what are some of the themes that do you have to have that in the story, that people are confused, or are these just people who know what they're doing?
In mine, everyone knows what they're
Yeah.
doing. Mine aren't
Yeah.
about coming out stories.
You know,
Yeah, because you don't. There are lots of stories about queerness you can tell, but this feels like a coming out story in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Eve is struggling with a lot,
Yeah.
and Vivianelle's the like focus of it. Like that, the last episode, the scene where she's trashing her apartment. Like,
Yeah.
oh come on, that is some
Kelly Clarkson stuff.
that is some Carrie Underwood stuff right there. That is, you know, before he cheats business.
Yeah.
Before he cheats. I also think this show, it does another thing. Sandra Oh is the first Asian actress to be nominated for a Best Lead Actress in a Drama for the Emmys. And additionally, when Sandra Oh was reading the script, she did not understand that she was like reading for Eve.
Really?
She did not. She literally says to Elle magazine, I'm scrolling through my phone trying to find my part, and I'm talking to my agent like, I don't get it. What's the part? Because I was like, I can't play an assassin. Obviously, it's going to be a young hot girl. I don't get it. What's my part? Then my agent said, Eve. The part is for Eve.
Wow.
This like that. It breaks my heart on a lot of levels, but it also feels like a really powerful moment for Sandra Oh.
Yeah.
Which I'm glad she shared with people.
However, as we discussed that we're all fans of Grey's Anatomy, I mean, hello. Like, that shouldn't have been a confusing decision to
No.
understand.
I can't believe she wasn't nominated for Best Lead Actress.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking that when I was
Like the number of complicated situations we have seen Christine go through.
Yeah.
I mean,
Was it just because Meredith only got lead actress nominations?
I think so.
And
yeah.
Sandra Oh
I
had
think
to go for
I think everyone
supporting?
else was supporting. Yeah, Meredith and Derek.
Yeah.
were leads.
yeah.
Fine.
So does that
I'm
make
mad,
that
but-
make Villanelle her person?
Oh.
Oh.
Yes. 100%.
100%.
Look at we all just turned into like
say
schoolgirls.
I say this as someone who has not watched Grey's Anatomy since it's like end of its 5th season or something.
So good now.
Yeah, I've heard it's great. I've heard
So much better without Derek.
I mean,
He
everything's
died like
better
3
without
seasons
Derek,
ago,
right?
didn't he?
Oh, it's so good. Meredith has like a younger love interest, and I am just losing my crap. I
Who
love
is
it.
Great.
Who is he?
His name's DeLuca, and he is so dreamy and beautiful, and he just like thinks she's so smart and just worships her.
Oh.
And it is such a nice change from Derek, who is just like, worship me, I'm so smart.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow,
Mick
I'm really
nothing.
for
Yeah.
this trend of like older women finding love
I love it.
on TV. I'm just like, yes.
I'm into it. Critics have been raving about it as well, and I don't blame them. I don't want to read like all of them or anything, but I don't know how you feel about a couple of these things, because these are all meant to be very, very like in praise of the show. But occasionally, I think sometimes things that get written in praise of a show end up sounding a bit weird. But Melanie McFarland in Salon called it a feminist thriller, a perfect show for the Me Too era, and that it, quote, shakes one's desires to see piggish misogynists get what's coming to them, yet also delves into the complex trust issues among women and shows, quote, sisterhood's might and peril as powerful, but also complicated and devoid of guarantees. I feel like this is a person trying to impart
Not say what.
the straightest.
Sisterhood.
Yeah,
Yes.
sisterhood.
This
This
is
is what
Straightest
happens when you
reading.
don't say gay.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
lesbian
Yeah.
or bisexual.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People can
There
read
was no
it as,
sisterhood.
oh, it's so platonic. Isn't it nice that they support each other like that? Those gals must
Yeah.
be real good pals.
And there was no sisterhood between her and her boss lady either.
No.
No, boss lady
No.
and her were both
Yeah,
ready to
like
sacrifice
my question
each
reading
other
this,
constantly.
where's the sisterhood?
Yeah, there
Yeah.
was no sisterhood.
You know?
Yeah. So when phrases like that, when sisterhood is
Yeah.
it drives me crazy. But one of the things I do sort of enjoy is that in on Slate, Willa Paskin said Eve is a story about the literal dangers of underestimating women, of not
Yes.
seeing
Yes.
the woman who can kill you, underestimating the woman who can stop her. In Villanelle's gender and manner, her very femininity keep our acculturated brains from being appropriately terrified of her.
That was beautifully read.
It's perfect.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is.
That was impossible.
Yeah.
That was really, really well done.
Thank you. Yeah, I thought that sort of got at the heart of a lot of elements of the show, which is again like thinking about like so the first season showrunner is Phoebe Waller-Bridge, as we've talked about. The second season showrunner is Emerald
Fennel. Can I just say that is like one of the best
an
names I've
amazing name.
ever heard?
So good. And
Emerald
then,
Fennel.
next season is going to be
Susanna.
Suzanne Heathcote.
They're so English, all
Yeah.
of these names, aren't they? Suzanne Heathcote.
Suzanne Heathcote, yeah. And I really do feel, and again, I'm not trying to reinforce the binary, but just the fact that we've got sort of like women in these writing rooms is I really do think one of the reasons the show is so exquisitely crafted and never sacrifices any woman's intelligence in any of the characters.
Yes.
Like all of the women get to be competent.
It's like we felt about watching Russian Doll and knowing that
Yes.
that whole
Yes.
writing room was all women and
Yeah. And I think
Yeah.
it really, I think that it's just such an exciting time to be seeing this kind of TV happening anywhere.
Yeah.
I'm so
well,
thrilled.
it is, and it's fun too because I know you haven't seen Fleabag, and I haven't seen all of it. Have you seen any?
No.
So I've seen different episodes of it, but just the fact that we are in a great time, just looking at Russian Doll too, of being able to have flawed women,
Yes.
or maybe flawed's the wrong word, complicated, but smart at the same time, so they don't have to be those
Yeah.
stereotypes of, oh, she's crazy but can't find love, or you know those boxes that that everyone has to go in.
Yeah.
And I think someone like a Phoebe Waller-Bridge gets that. And so when it comes time to like look at this next season, like who can I trust enough to understand this and take this on, who isn't going to be afraid of that? Go be messy.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes.
go be weird. Go be complicated. Go and say, you know what, sometimes I would wish I had this husband I could go home with. And then sometimes I just wish I could have sex with a really exciting psychopathic assassin.
You can have both as soon as we finally get our polyamorous spy TV
Right
shows.
there, you see?
I'll write one.
Yes, there
I'm
you
on
go.
it.
Yes,
Please.
exactly.
Totally write that. Totally.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's
right.
actually
Mr.
now,
and Mrs. Smith.
now is probably actually a really
Yeah.
good time to do it because of the union complications with the WGA. Like everyone in Hollywood has fired, like all the writers in Hollywood have fired their agents. So,
Oh, hit me up.
well, a bunch of people are saying if you are a writer without an agent, and like a bunch of showrunners and a bunch of other people are saying, like, especially if you are a writer of color or a marginalized writer in any way, there are a bunch of call-outs on Twitter asking for
Wow.
like writers to come and
Dang.
Can I just say as an aside, I was listening to Keep It.
yeah.
And heard that breakdown.
The union episode was amazing.
Episode, and it was super helpful. If you're interested in how the current fight, what the fight is, how it got to this point, how it works that your agent represents you, but also gets a cut of the show that you
agent
are working on. The double dips.
Ooh.
and it's like in the old contract, and it's just anyway. So a
And
bunch
the
of
way
writers.
she explained it with
She was
illustrations,
amazing.
she's amazing.
No, she was amazing.
Yeah.
So if you're super interested in complicated union stuff, this episode of Keep It from about 3 weeks ago, probably
As
by
a
the time it comes
union
out, 4
rep
weeks ago.
for my union,
Yeah.
I found that to be an absolutely fascinating conversation.
It was
and
amazing.
It really was. So
Yeah, I mean,
highly recommended.
I love union stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't ever want to be involved because I am not good at. I think I'm okay at organizing people. I'm not great at rules. So unions, like in union organization, is a lot of rules.
You know, there's people like you, subsection 4.
Yes,
2A. I've
yeah.
seen your type.
I
know
cannot
what you're
handle
saying.
it. I
Yeah.
cannot handle it. But I have all the respect in the world for unions. Okay, so that said, we have been talking for a long time, and we do have to sort of come to an end. Even though I could talk about Killing Eve forever and ever and ever and ever and ever, and we might.
And you should watch it. And here's the good news: we'll get to do season 2.
Yay.
We'll get to do season 2, and then we'll get to do season 3.
Yes.
And it's gonna be so good. I will say,
And there might not be anyone left on the planet after 4. Because
I mean, we'll see.
killing
Hey, it is
machine.
what it is.
Yeah.
It is what it is. But
You know?
if it's just the two of them at the end, fine.
yeah, it's scorched
Totally.
land. There they finally are, standing at the top.
Embracing.
Oh.
Sister.
Finally, we're alone.
But Michelle, do you have any final thoughts you'd like to share with us?
It's so good. Please watch it.
I mean, it's a humble
I
plea,
just-
and
yeah,
I respect it a lot.
I love it. I just think it's doing some really interesting stuff. And I watched Sherlock, and I was like really dedicated to Sherlock, and I was, like, maybe they're gonna,
No.
and it is nothing compared to Killing Eve. Like,
No.
I tried to go back and watch Sherlock, and it is just completely different. Like, there's the respect that I feel like Killing Eve has for me as a queer audience member is light years different.
Yeah.
And that feels real nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You deserve that.
Thank you. Yeah.
And I enjoy the large budget that this thing must have had. Like, don't you feel that? Like, it did
It
not
looks
feel
good.
cheap.
No.
No,
At
it looks,
all.
it looks
Like-
good. It looks
like,
great.
As much as we love our Netflix specials, we know that sometimes, with the exception of The Crown, maybe, or something like that.
Apparently, Killing
like,
Eve has that BBC 4 money.
Yeah.
So,
and you
who
can
knew?
feel it and see it and touch it and almost taste it. Like, especially, like I said,
Like ice
small
cream in your
things.
face?
Yeah, it's just like small things, like her home.
Yeah.
Her apartment, the way it's like that high-end disheveled.
It's like
Which is a
walking into like an
super-
anthropology, but
It
like
is.
Yeah.
slightly toned down and classier.
yeah.
Yes.
I love how mean she is also to children, by the way.
Yes.
Like, and I say that as I don't actively enjoy watching children experience cruelty, but the way in which
She's not maternal.
No, but the way in which Villanelle is constantly mad at any child who looks
Yeah.
happy,
Yeah.
and is so, just apparently just sort of disenfranchised from that part of like she doesn't even concern herself with someone being like, hey, why did you do that to my kid? She knows how disposable children are in this world that is in like Killing Eve's world.
Yeah.
That she can just shove an ice cream in some kid's face and no one's going to say anything. And she's going to be able to walk out because she can do whatever she wants because she's so mad that kid is happy.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah,
it's so petty.
She's got a lot of issues.
Sure does.
You
Sure
know,
does.
I do think that it would be an interesting, I mean, I know it's a bit of a trope now, too, is seeing our psychopaths with therapists. But I enjoy those scenes anyway when they do them. So I would be curious.
I enjoy them. I never want to see like a sort of giant redemptive arc.
No, we're not going to solve anything. She
don't.
is who she is.
Yeah, like there's so
I don't
many
think
things
the
that
love
they
of
can
a
do.
good woman is going to fix this. I feel
But
like
she's such a good woman.
and she is a good woman, and it's great. But I really think that Villeneuve knows who she is.
I think she does too,
Yes.
but I'm just it's gonna be so interesting. I'm really excited. Lisa, did you have any final thoughts you would like to?
Can't wait for 2.
Me too. I love it so much.
I knew when at the end. I mean, there was a moment where I did think that maybe stabbing someone in the stomach with a knife was, and really ending things. But then her
It's
body.
just edge play.
Yeah. Wow, that's some serious play. But yeah, then when her body wasn't there, I knew we had a 2 coming up because I don't know for sure. I don't know when 2 was announced.
It apparently was announced the day before season 1 aired.
Oh, was it?
Yeah,
that
because I'm pretty
quickly?
sure I remember after I finished
okay.
watching the final episode, I saw a teaser for season 2, which has Vivanelle alive in a hospital. So
yeah, so I was happy for that, but it sure did seem dark.
And
again, how do you start your relationship with? Yeah, you killed my friend, but you tried to kill me.
I actually honestly think that was how they can move forward, actually, in a weird way. Like, I really think that it was that, like, the stabbing.
So pretty.
I know, it's creepy and pretty.
We can move on now. We're even.
Well, kind of a little bit. Plus, she has shown that she is not perhaps as predictable.
Yeah,
as
and that
Villanelle
she's
thought
willing
she
to hurt Vivanelle. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
So, obviously, it pops.
Pop.
Yes.
So many pops. We do love to leave our episodes on something we recommend. Michelle, as our guest of honor, would you like to go first?
Thank you. I absolutely love Cameron Esposito's podcast, Query.
Yay!
I love it. It has radically changed my life. I don't even feel weird saying that. It's just really beautiful. If you're queer, it's just a conversation between 2 queer people, and it can be about they talk about anything, and it's just so refreshing to hear commonalities with strangers and just wow, I'm not alone. That someone else had that weird childhood experience that I did, and now we're both gay. Cool. Okay.
That's
all right.
That's
cool.
so nice.
That's great, yeah.
And it's really beautiful.
Okay.
So I recommend that.
Lisa, what do you recommend?
Well, that was important and substantial, and I'm gonna be.
It's okay. I'm gonna sandwich with another substantive one. So you go ahead and just
I like fluffy marshmallows.
It's good.
Right.
You need a marshmallow.
Well, you don't. I mean, we're friends, but there are so many things for you to discover about me.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
I love older women.
One of the, I'm in then, here we go. So one of the things you need to know about me is that I'm a big metal fan.
I did not see that coming.
No one does. It's my little stealth there. It's just like that sword in a belly right there.
Yep.
So I was really excited last week when I discovered that a city councillor in Montreal was proposing to officially mark that Montreal is a city of excellence for heavy metal music. Now, if you're not a metal fan, you probably don't know that Montreal is a really big scene of metal bands. And they put on a big festival every year. Well, they missed 1 year, 11 years, called Heavy Montreal. And I don't have to name all the bands because it won't matter to you because you're probably not going to go listen to Cataclysm and Cryptopsy. But if you wanted to...
I have heard of both of those, though, so I will be
Yeah. So anyway, his name is Craig Sauvé, and he is a city councillor in Montreal. Also had been in some metal bands, and so he put that motion forward, and it was passed.
Nice.
So
Congrats, Montreal.
right, congrats, Montreal. So I look forward to cities across Canada taking a serious look at some of the artistic achievements the music community does for you and celebrating them.
That sounds nice.
Here,
So
here.
I ended there on a note,
That
so I
sounds
don't
nice.
sound like such a fluff ball.
It's great. It was not fluff ball at all.
Yeah, it's serious.
I am going to recommend another friend of the podcast, Vivek Shreya and
Yes.
Nestle have put out a book called Death Threat. It is beautiful and it's enraging and it's hard. It is a graphic novel based on actual death threats that Vivek received for a long time. And she and this artist, Nestle, turned it into this beautiful book called Death Threat. And it's short. It's not a long read. It's really beautiful artwork. And just thinking about the ways in which, Vivek gets death threats constantly. It's awful. And just like the work that she does as a racialized trans woman in Canada, and is so famous around the world now. And it's devastating, and I don't like it at all. And I love Vivek so much. And she's actually going to launch the book here in Vancouver on April 28th as part of the Versus Festival, which is the spoken word festival in Vancouver. So everyone should come out to it because it's going to be great.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So thank you so much, Michelle.
Thank you.
Oh, thanks
This
for
was
having
great.
me.
That was really fun.
This
Really,
is
so
good.
happy.
And this is the part where we kill you.
I mean,
I'm into it. You know, as long as you like gently stroke my hair back a little bit first and like
One
make
does
me
one,
think that like
one-
maybe we're in love.
One
Okay.
strokes the hair, one does the stabbing. But here's the fun. You don't know which one.
Oh my god, this is our polyamorous spy love drama.
This is it. This is it.
It's everything I've ever
it
wanted.
all starts with a podcast. Thank you
Like
so
all
much.
good things do now in 2019.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. Thank you for coming on this podcast, Michelle. If people want to hang out with you, like, do you want them to find you anywhere, or you prefer to be
Yeah,
secret?
you can find me on Twitter. I'm at Osgood Michelle.
Perfect. And they can
where
get
I'm
your books
most-
anywhere.
Yeah. Just please buy them.
Yeah, go out and buy them.
That'd be nice.
Great stuff.
Or get them from the library. That's great too.
That's fine, too.
That's super awesome.
Aw, that's so
request
sweet.
them at the library, actually.
Yeah.
Guys, like, that's great.
Make that list
Yeah.
grow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd love to go to the library and be like, hey, I wrote that.
Yeah.
You know.
You can always hang out with us as well on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. You could rate and review us 5 stars on iTunes. You could listen to us on Spotify, Stitcher, and any of those social media hangs.
Yeah. And we are recording in the Vancouver Public Library, and Andrea Gin is our producer. Thanks for joining us every week.
Thank you.